We're going to make a grouped frequency distribution with a histogram output for the data. It represents housing prices of a particular neighborhood in millions of dollars. We're going to use 1.5 for the lower class limit of the bottom class and 15 classes. To start, we're going to find our minimum and maximum values in our range. And we can do that by typing equal min, hit the tab key, and we can select our data, which is in A2 all the way down to A546. So hit the shift key and hit enter. All right, so we have our minimum value here. We can type our maximum value here. So equal max, hit the tab key, and again we can just select A2 all the way down to, hold the shift key, A546, and hit enter. So we have our max and min values, and our range is equal to the maximum value minus the minimum value. So our range is 11.6. So remember, to find the class width, we are going to divide by the number of classes that we want. So we're going to take our range here and divide by 15 because we want 15 classes. So that comes out to 0.77. So we can use something conveniently slightly bigger than this. And since all of our data go to one decimal place, I'm going to go ahead and just round this to 0.8. So that is what we're going to use for our class width. All right, so now remember that we're going to have to put our lower class limits and our upper class limits. And we said we wanted to start at 1.5 for the lower class limit here. And so to get our class width of 0.8, we're just going to add 0.8 to the 1.5. So that gives us 2.3. And then if we highlight these two cells and we drag down, we will just keep adding that 0.8. So we want to have 15, so those will be our lower class limits. And now remember, our upper class limits can't overlap our lower class limits. So if the upper class limit of the second class is 2.3, I'm sorry, if the lower class limit of the second class is 2.3, then the upper class limit here needs to be 2.2. And then similarly here, this one needs to be 3.0. And notice that Excel takes my 0 off, and I want to put it on there, so I'm going to go ahead and hit the button up here to add that decimal. And then I'm just going to drag this down as well. So let's see what happened here. I think it had to do with me putting that decimal in here. So let's just delete this and do it again. So the upper class limit here should be 2.2. The upper class limit here should be 3.0. And now if we fill down, there we go. So now we have all of our upper class limits. Next, we are going to go ahead and go to the Data tab and choose Data Analysis. Remember, if that is not here, you would go to your File and then Options down here and make sure that you have that add-in added. So we're going to assume you have that. So we're going to go Data Analysis, and then we're going to select Histogram and click OK. And then for our input range, we're going to use the actual data. So we're going to have A2 here. And again, we'll just scroll down, hold the shift key, and that puts all of our data here. The next thing we need to put in here is our bin range, and that's going to be our upper class limits, and we are going to select all but the very last one because it automatically puts anything bigger than that into one more bin. So we're just going to select those and hit the radial dial button for output range, and we want to put it in the worksheet itself. So we'll select the cell in the worksheet there. And then finally, we're going to select chart output. And that will give us a histogram that we'll have to adjust to look proper. And we'll just go ahead and hit OK. And here we have the things we need. Now, we don't want to call this bin, we want to call it price. So we'll change that to price. And remember here, we want the entire bin, lower class limit dash upper class limit. So the way we can do that is we can go ahead and type equal, concat, hit the tab key, and then we're going to take the lower class limit, and then in quotations, we will put a dash, and then comma, and select the upper class limit, and then close that off. So that gives us our actual classes. And then once we do that, we can just use the fill down. And now we have all of our actual classes. And this isn't necessary, but I think this looks better if we right justify it. So I'm just going to right justify it by hitting this button up here. All right, so that is our frequency distribution. And now we also want to fix our histogram, okay? And so remember, the histogram can't have any gaps, and we should have a proper title. So we're going to say here, housing prices. We don't need this because we only have one color. Down here, we're going to say, instead of bin, we're going to actually put what it is. So it's down here, this is the price in millions. We're going to put up here the frequency. And then we'll do that double click on the chart, and we will select the bars and hit this button here. And we want the gap to be 0 because histograms have no gaps in them. Okay, so when we type 0 in there, we can see that we have no gaps. Now, if we don't put a border around these bars, it's just going to look all solid. So we'll come over here to the fill button. We'll choose border, and then we can make our border something that's going to show up. And now if we deselect those bars, we can see that we have a nice histogram here. We have all of our bins written here, and we have nice bars that are together, and we can see the separation of them by those black borders.